we go. Okay, so just like we found in our warm-up. Okay, so a little vocab you guys have to know is the lateral area is just the area of the sides. Okay, so some of your problems will ask you for lateral area. Some of them will ask you for the whole surface area, which means every surface. And so usually people find this pretty easy unless you get mixed up by the drawings. So like if you're doing it on paper or if you're doing it on the computer, just identify. So the base is whatever shape we have. This would be a triangular prism because we have triangles. And so in this example, that would be the two triangles. So area of the base. Do you remember from when we talked about area, any capital letter means we have to do something first. So, yeah. If you want to write that down, capital letters and formulas. You have to solve that part. So we have to find the perimeter or find the area of the base and then plug it into the formula. So if you just have something like an h here for the height, well, that's just, we just multiply it by whatever name they give us. But the capital P, what do you think capital P stands for?
Perimeter.
Yeah, so it's the perimeter of the base. So we have to add all the sides. And then here, the capital B is the area of the base. All right, so then if we have a cylinder, it's really the exact same thing. It's just that they plugged it into the formulas for you. So 2 pi r is the circumference, which is the same as the perimeter of the base. So some people prefer just to remember this formula, which you'll have the formula sheet. Just remember this and use it for everything. Some people prefer to, if you have the circle, plug it into this formula because they have it written there for you. So that's the circumference, and then this gives you, that's the way you find area of the base. All right, so then let's plug it into some questions. What would y'all call question 1? What shape is that?
That's a triangle.
Yeah. So sometimes you might be asked to identify the shapes too, so just look for, hey, what's that base shape? Even if it's turned sideways, what's the base shape? And so, so and again, some people I find this really easy. Some people it helps to draw out the base separately just so you can find it. And so the perimeter of the base equals what?
12.
So we got 12. What is the height of the whole figure?
The height?
So
is 7.2.
So remember, height is the distance between the bases. So the other thing I've had some people get mixed up with is, you know, we're going to have a height of the base when we find the area of the base. We have to find the vertical height here. But we also have a height of the prism. So when we're finding lateral surface area, you're looking for, hey, what's the distance between the bases, which is that 7.2. Okay, so then I just do 12 times 7.2. Who can tell me what that is?
12.
All right, so that comes out to 80.4. So our lateral area. Did I do the math wrong? 12 times 7.2?
No.
12 times 7 is 84. 0.2 times 12. When I have the answer key, which I hope is right. Okay. All right, so the surface area.
Can I get the answer?
Yeah, I'll upload them to Canvas. I usually do.
Oh.
So that if people are absent, they can see all the notes.
Oh.
Okay, so I need two times the area of the base, and then plus that lateral area, which is 86.4. So how do I find the area of this triangular base? So 4 times 4 would work beautifully if they were at a right angle to each other.
Alright, 1/2 this.
Yeah. So I need 1/2. Can you guys still see this color pen?
Yeah. So do we have to find,
just so we can
do we
see.
have to do the apostrophe or whatever?
2 or do 2 and 4.
Yeah, so what do I have? I need this vertical height. What do I do to find this vertical height? What's the easiest thing? So I could do Pythagorean theorem, or I could do special rights.
Oh yeah. Wait, is 4
I have special.
Special rights. Who could tell me if this side's 4, and we know this is a 60 degree because it's an equilateral triangle. We've done a lot of these this year. What's this center part going to be? 2√3. Okay, because again, we're going for no decimal answers in this like last time.
Oh.
Or some of your questions, it might be mixed. I don't remember what Big Ideas asks you for.
4√3.
And so then I plug in 1/2 times my base, which is 4, times my height, which is 2√3. Which equals what?
4√3.
4√3. And so then I write this as 4√3 since I found the area of the base. And then I told you no decimals, but we already have decimals here. So I think I told you wrong. I think you're going to go ahead and type it in and convert it to decimals. So who can, in your calculator, do 2 times 4√3 plus 86.4?
4 plus 86.4. Okay, well, I'm not reading it.
So we have this, which goes to 100.26 inches squared.
So we are allowed to have decimals?
Yes, just make sure to, yeah, go ahead and start on the next one. Make sure to read the directions. Pi still stays as pi usually, but read the directions for what the particular question you're working on tells you to do. All right, on this one, what shape would you call this?
Rectangular prism.
Mm-hmm.
Rectangle.
So, if it's a rectangular prism, what do you think the base is? So
12.
12 times 6.
yeah, so rectangular prisms is one where it technically, if we decide to turn it on its side, we could count a different side as the base. And so if something's not working when you're doing big ideas, which hopefully you'll get it done in class, so you can ask questions, check and see, did they decide to count a different one as surface area? It doesn't affect total surface area, it just affects lateral surface area because the sides are different. But here we're just going to go off of the top and bottom of our base. So what would the perimeter of that base be?
Which one's the base?
So the top and the bottom, so that's what you have to figure out.
36.
Yeah, how did you get 36? Yeah, so the 12 and 6 plus 12 plus 6. Okay, equals 36. And then what is the height?
3.
Height equals 3. So our lateral area is 36 times 3, which is what?
A number.
72.
72 is times 2, so
Wait, no.
Oh, shoot.
it's
108.
108.
108.
And then what's the area of the base?
600.
12 times 6.
36.
That rectangle's beautiful.
6.
72. And so then our surface area equals our 2 times the base, 72, plus 108, which comes out to 252. What's our unit this time?
Cube.
Centimeter.
No, cubed is when we get to volume. We're still talking about the flat surface
Square.
area. So centimeters squared. And something to make sure, you guys, is 252 is the number of centimeters. We never square 252. So if they don't give you the unit, you can write in units squared, but you would never write 252 squared, because that's a very different answer.
Because that's
That's
like
very
that's
large.
52
It's a
times.
very large answer.
Very.
All right, so when you have that, flip over to the next page.
Easy. Hexagon prism. Hexagon. Bet.
Okay, so hexagonal prism. Has our formula changed at all?
No.
No. So how do we? What is the base here?
The hexagon.
All right, and what is the perimeter of the hexagon?
14 times 6.
So perimeter equals 14 side that they gave us times 6 because it's 6 sides, which equals what? 84. All right, what's our height?
25.
25. So our lateral area is 84 times 25, which comes out to 2100. Okay, it's a big hexagon. And it says this is in feet. What do you think would be that big?
Build.
You think they'd build a building in the shape of a hexagon?
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
Imagine how hard that would be.
It's a big
That'd be
popcorn
They
the
made a
bucket.
building.
Or the
It's a
honeycomb.
big popcorn bucket.
You know the cereal honeycomb? Whatever it is.
It's a
And that's
big.
not
Oh,
even
yeah.
what they look like.
Okay, so how do we find the area of the base?
It's the regular poly. What is it? It's
So it's 1/2
base.
AP.
Oh yeah.
apothem times perimeter. We already found the perimeter. That's nice. And so we need to find the apothem. Did they give us the apothem here? No.
So
We
yeah,
have to do the work. Okay. So it's not too much work. You guys are good at this by now. So 360 divided by 2 times 6 sides. Or does anyone remember? What does that come out to?
Something very small.
Oh, it's 30.
30, okay?
30.
So now we're dealing with that 30, 60, 90 triangle that we're so used to by now.
Yeah.
Okay? If the whole side's 14, what is this side?
16.
7. Okay, so remember when we find that central angle, it's half of a side, so I'm finding this part right here. Okay, if this side's 7 on a 30, 60, 90 triangle, what's this apothem that I need? 7 root 3. Okay? You're not good at special rights yet. They keep coming back. Okay, so then that's our apothem. And so I just plug it in 1/2 7 root 3 times the perimeter. I already found on 84. And that is going to give us, say it once more, 588. My answer key says 509. Is my answer key wrong?
No, I did it in my head.
0.
Okay, I'm going to double check. 7 root 3 times 84.
It's 509.
It is 509. Okay. Alright, so then we plug it in. 2 times 509.22 plus 2100. What does that equal?
3,118.25.
And do we have units here?
Holy moly. No, feet.
Feet. Squared or cubed?
Cube.
Squared. Anytime we're dealing with area, it's squared. This is also feet squared.
Hold on, I kind of got started.
So we convert the
Got it.
Radical, the decimals.
square root. The decimals.
Yeah. We are doing that for this, but we are still leaving pi as pi. So, okay, so cylinder, we can still do the,
Circumference.
it's just circumference times height. And so, what is my circumference?
Shoot, what?
Or my perimeter or circumference. What do I do with the circle?
12.
So it's 2 pi radius, which equals 12 pi. All right, what is my height?
5 meters.
So my lateral area is just 5 times 12 pi, which gives me 60 pi. And that's meters squared. For the lateral area, yes. So then the area of the base is just pi radius squared, which equals 36 pi. So then my surface area is just 2 times the 36 pi plus 60 pi. What's 36 times 2?
72.
So I have 72 pi plus 60 pi. Can I go ahead and add those?
Yes.
Yeah, because they're still like terms. And so it comes out to 132 pi. And then we have meters squared. So remember, I never square pi or 132. I square the units. So it's just telling me what I'm dealing with. And this is where you'd have to check if you're doing online assignments, are they asking for this or the decimal answer? So sometimes like the Khan Academy Extra Credit wants you to use 3.14 for pi. Or Big Ideas might want you to use your calculator value of pi. So just read directions, see if you could convert that to decimal or not. I know. Okay, so now what do we do? 5 and 6 are combined shapes.
You gotta find two areas.
Yeah. So we're going to find 2 of them. And is one on top of the other one?
Yeah.
So am I going to find 2 complete surface areas and add them together, or am I going to have to take away the sides where they touch each other?
Take away the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll have to add them. So what we're going to have to do is I'll find the surface area of both. But then subtract the sides where they touch each other. Okay, so when I find the area of this square prism, which side of this square prism is touching this half cylinder on top? Yeah. So what's that top side going to measure?
6.
So I'm going to subtract 60 meters at the end because that side, once I plugged it into the formula, that side's not actually surface. It's up against the cylinder. Did you guys understand that one?
Yeah. Yes.
No.
Yes. No.
Maybe so.
So see if this prism down here, I'll have the square in the front, the square in the back, but then I only have 3 sides. I don't have that 4th side there. So if I'm plugging into perimeter times the height, which is the 10, I'd have to remember to subtract away that one side.
Is it possible you can just do it without it in the beginning?
Yeah. So some people find it easier to say, oh, I have this side's 36, therefore the back side would be 36, and then this is 60, 60, 60, and just add up all the sides you can see. That's always another option. So it's just what's easier for you. Okay, so let's do our square prism first. They did not leave us much room to work this out. Okay. And they just asked for surface area, not lateral area. So we can do the base equals 36, just 6 times 6. The perimeter would equal what?
Of the base.
Oh yeah, of the base. 24.
6 times
And
4.
then the height is what?
10.
Yeah. So see how this is turned on its side, but it's still, we have to pick the shape that's the same on both ends so that it works. Okay, so when you're picking your base, pick the one that the exact side that appears twice. Because it's the distance. It's only number left. It's the distance between the bases. So if I have a square here and I have a square I can't see at the other end, which I could draw in there.
This way, and then do it that way.
Yeah. So base does not always mean the thing on the ground. It means the shape that you can find two exact shapes of the same thing. And then everything else is different. Where do you want it? Can you see okay? Alright, so then I just plug it in for my surface area equals 2 times the 36, 2 bases, plus the perimeter times height, so 24 times 10. And then I'm going to go ahead and subtract minus 60 because I know I'm going to have to subtract out 60 meters there. And again, if you chose to work it differently, where you just didn't only found 3 sides of the base or just added up the sides, that's always an option. Okay, so that comes out to, what's your question? So, so see how, if I had this square prism here, okay, so say I had this square prism, pretend I drew that really well. Then I would have, 2 squares and all 4 sides of it, right? But on this figure, I don't have the top because the top isn't surface anymore. It's covered up by this, and I'm going to have to find this. So that's why I have to subtract out the 60, or I have to calculate it only with those 3 sides. So I could also do 36 plus 36 plus 60 plus 60 plus 60 and just add up, the 3 sides I do have. That's another option. Okay, so did anyone plug this into the calculator for me yet? 252. Okay, so 252 meters squared is our part of the square. What do I have to do for the cylinder now? Yeah. So my cylinder, I'm going to do half. So what's my radius of the cylinder?
3.
3, because 6 is the whole thing. Okay, thank you.
Can't you do
Oh, it's fast.
the
No, because we have when you square it, that wouldn't work because it's squared. And so we're just going to plug in, I'm going to switch colors so it shows up well here. So my cylinder is just 2 times pi 3 squared divided by 2 because I only have half a circle, right? Are y'all with me there?
Well, you can't divide the whole thing by 2.
You could find the whole thing and divide by 2 at the end. That's another option. Okay, and then we're going to add in the 2 pi radius, which is their circumference, times the height, which is 10. And again, divide by 2, because it's only half of the cylinder. And so if I do it this way, the 2's cancel out nicely, and it becomes 39 pi. 9 pi plus 30 pi, which equals 39 pi. And so then my final answer is going to be these two added together. So 252 plus 39 pi. And those are not like terms, so I have to leave them separate.
So it's just, that's the answer.
Unless it asks you to convert it back to decimal answer.
Wait, so the one circle is the answer?
The one circle is the final answer of the combined composite surface area.
But you said they're not like terms, so you can't combine them?
They're not like terms. One has pi and one doesn't, so you can't
yeah.
combine them unless you've been asked to convert to decimal answer. this one, like we just talked about with my wonderful Kleenex box and paper towels, is just going to be the, so it's going to be surface area of the prism, which is this rectangular prism, plus the lateral area of the cylinder. Because we talked about this circle here completely covers up the missing circle of the square there, so we don't have to go to the effort of finding it and subtracting it back out. We can just pretend we can just not find it. They cancel each other out. Okay, so what would you call the base of this prism? Is this a square or a rectangle?
Rectangle.
Yeah, so a rectangle with 14 and 8.
Oh my God.
Okay, so we need 2 of the area of those bases. What's 14 times 8?
Large.
Oh wait, I did it.
One.
Oh, it's 112.
96.
112.
That equals 112.
Okay, so 2 times 112 plus, what is our perimeter of the base? 42?
No, I'm just saying right
Oh.
now.
Perimeter of the base is 14 plus 14 plus 8 plus 8. 44. So 2 times the bases plus 44 times the height. What's the height here? 12. Okay. And then our cylinder, I'm running out of space here. So lateral area of the cylinder. So that's the surface area of the prism. Okay. And then lateral area of the cylinder is just what? How do we find lateral area of a cylinder?
Perimeter.
Mm-hmm. So 2 pi times 4, which is our radius, times 8, because 8's the height of the cylinder.
64.
Thank you. And so then so what is this whole thing when we plug it into the calculator? Okay, so that should come out to 752. So we have 752, which is just that full surface area of the prism, plus our 64 pi, which is when we multiply those numbers, and then it's just feet squared. And so unless they ask for a decimal answer, we leave it in this format. I do not have a needle.
Yeah, I did that whole thing, but I got first, but I like used the wrong side.
Okay. So you guys give me thumbs up, medium, down. How do you feel about this problem?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're going to do, since at least half the class is giving me thumbs up, is I'm going to do the last 2 examples. And then if you'd like me to go back over this last problem with you, I'll come around and do that. Or you can ask someone in your group to explain it if you like the way they explain it. Okay, so 2 last questions. These are really simple ones, but you'll see them a lot in your assignment. The answer is not actually C. So it has a surface area of 6 square yards. If it's enlarged by a scale factor of 3 to produce a new sphere, what is the surface area of the new sphere? First of all, there's a typo here. Can y'all find it?
Yeah, prism.
So we have the word prism here
New sphere.
and sphere here. Okay, so just pretend that all of these say prism because we're learning prisms today. Spheres are next class.
Sphere doesn't matter.
Sorry, that was a typo.
So it's all prisms?
Yeah, because we're learning prisms. Spheres are next class. Okay, so if it's 6 squared yards, and then
The prism is enlarged.
the prism is large by a scale factor of 3. Does anyone remember
Scale factor.
when we're dealing with area? So area is units squared. So what do we have to do to that scale factor then?
Pi squared.
square it. Okay, so area is squared.
Oh, D.
Yeah.
D.
So scale factor has to be squared. Okay, so just remember, area, when we get to volume problems, we covered that. It was just several units ago. And so the correct answer is D. So 6 times 3 squared, which is 9. All right, then the next one. The cones are similar. Does anyone remember what that word similar means in math?
Shape is the same, but the size is not. The colors are the same.
Mm-hmm. And so we're going to find, it asks which best represents the ratio of the surface area, so that word area again, of the right to the cone on the left. So ratio we usually write as either this or a fraction. So if I did 8 to 1.6, what does that simplify to if you type it in your calculator? It's 8 divided by 1.6. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's 5.
It's 5.
So that simplifies to 5 to 1, or 5 over 1, okay, depending which way they want you put in. When we're talking about the ratio of the area, what are we going to do to that 5 and 1? Square. So area, remember area is squared, so it's going to be 5 squared to 1 squared, which equals 25 to 1. Does that seem logical when I look at the actual shape all the way around there, that this would have 25 times the units of that little tiny one?
No.
It seems logical to me, but they aren't always drawn to scale. That's true. Because this 1.6 doesn't actually quite seem like that's drawn to scale. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, there's a big ideas assignment. Let me pause this.